Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So in this short video, I'm going to show you how to change valve springs in a Coyote using the Euro Export tool. So I think I got this thing for about $80 or $85 off of Amazon. As always, I'll put a link in the description where you can find this tool. But we're going to go ahead and change one or two valve springs so you can kind of see how we set up the tool and how it works and how easy it is or isn't. So let's go take a look and we'll see how it works. All right, so the first thing you want to do, obviously cams are out, all that. So we're going to pull the valve spring off this one. So you want to pull the follower and the lifter out. Take the device, and as you'll see on the device, it's got these half moons right here. No matter whether you're doing the top set or the bottom set, the half moons always go towards the spark plug tubes. So put it on where the cam caps go. I always start these by hand because the heads are aluminum and I do not want to cross thread these. So I just usually, these don't need to be extremely tight. I just kind of do these hand tight. All right, now that that's on there, you take your long bolt, which comes in the kit, and for whatever valve spring you're going to replace, you go ahead and start the bolt. Get it started in there. And then the next thing you do is you take this, which comes in the kit, and this is what the bolt pushes down on. This pushes down on the spring, and then it allows you to take the locks out of the retainer. So we'll go ahead and set this in. And another thing to be aware of, so what I try to do, so down here in these areas, you have your oil drain backs. I put a little piece of cloth right there. So in case the retainers or the locks come flying out, they don't go down in the motor. So from that point, what you have to do now is get your 14 millimeter socket and then slowly start compressing this bolt, which will push down on the spring. But what I'll have to do now is fill this chamber up with air so it keeps pressure on the valve so it can push the spring down. So I'll go ahead and do that. So as you can see here, this is normally, it comes with a attachment on the end of it to put air in your tires. Well, I took that attachment off and I have a compression tester. Well, this is a 14 millimeter adapter for a Coyote. Well, it fits right on this thing. So I'll screw this down in the chamber, hook my air compressor up to it, and fill the chamber with air. All right, so I'm gonna fill the chamber with air. And then I'm going to start slowly. See, sometimes that happens, went a little too fast. So I'm going to keep pressure on the chamber. And then slowly, see, you heard that little pop? That is the retainer now breaking away from the locks. And as you can see, as I slowly All right, so you can see the locks at this point have, the retainer is basically separated from the locks. So I'll take my magnet, grab one, set it to the side, and grab the other. And at this point, I now loosen the device so I can pull the spring and retainer out. So pull the retainer out, and I can pull the stock spring out. So from here, I take my new spring and my new retainer, set them on top of the valve, put the same top that you use to compress the spring and retainer on Now again, make sure your retainer is centered around the valve. Otherwise, you're going to compress the valve down as well as the spring. What I usually like to do is keep a little pressure on in the chamber, so it keeps the valve up and the spring compressed down. So as you can see, the valve is staying up. The spring is compressing down, and what I'm waiting for, as you can see, the valve, about 3/4 the way up, has those 3 grooves. Well, that's what the locks actually lock into. So I'm going to wait till the retainer gets down a little bit below that last groove. Now it's ready. I can grab my locks that I just took out. So I'll put a little bit of this on. I said a little bit, that's actually a lot of bit, but and I use it, as you can see, to stick to the actual lock itself. And as you can see there, I drop the locks so it rides on those 3 grooves. I get the next lock, do the same thing, stick it to my screwdriver, drop it down in there, sometimes you get this right on, and sometimes you just got to mess with it. There it goes. You can see both of them are on there. And then what I'll do is slowly let up on the spring until the retainer And as you see right there, the retainer locked on. And now that valve spring is changed. All right, so now I pull the device off. Take that lifter and that follower. Stick it back in its hole. And there you go. And now you just do that for all 31 of the rest of them. It's a pretty lengthy process. And I'll go ahead and show you, if you're going to do this with the motor in the car, one of the problems on each side of the head that I ran into. So if you're going to want to change some of these bottom ones right here. So obviously, the problem you run into, as you can see, maybe you can't, I have to move my hands. Let me go ahead and get a couple of these started so it stays in place. So, I can't screw this in like here. So what you have to do with these is each time you want to change from this one to this one, you got to pull the device off again. Each time. It kind of sucks, but take it, screw it a decent amount of the way in, then you could put it on. Obviously screw these all the way down, then back it off as far as it'll go. Then take, obviously your lifter and your follower will be out. Now take this and put it in there like that. And then once you want to do the next one, you have to pull this device completely off again. Take the long screw, screw it, same thing, about halfway in, and then put it back on. Only because the shock towers, you know, this Coyote's so wide for this Fox body, the shock towers kind of get in your way for this. But obviously it can be done. It's just a little bit lengthy because you got to keep taking it off and putting it back on for each one instead of just being able to unscrew the bolt and then screw it into this one like you can with the top row. But that's about the only problem I had with it. But it is a very lengthy process. So as you can see from that one spring I changed, all in all the tool works pretty well. It took me probably about a full day, if not a little bit more, to do all 32. Obviously it would have been a lot easier with the motor out of the car and the heads off of the motor, but I didn't want to go that route. So as you can see, I left the motor in the car and the heads on it. So probably wouldn't take as long, but again, this is the part. I've got buddies that have LS motors, and you know, we're always back and forth making fun of each other, but this is the one time where they have me. It would have been so much easier to change valve springs and head stows on an LS. But you know what? In the end, I love the Coyote platform. So again, for 80, 85 bucks, this tool works pretty well. There's a lot of other ones out there on the market. This is the one that I chose. So if you're looking at getting this thing, it does its job and it works pretty well. As I said in the beginning, I will put a link in the description where you can go to Amazon or wherever it is and get this exact part. As always, if you like what you see, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again.